Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, and we are once more diving into that world of that collaborative world of teams getting together to create crowdfunded comics. I think I just alliterated myself completely out of my head there, and that wasn't even intentional. Imagine what I could do if I'm thinking about it. Tonight we are going to take a look at Echoes of the Triumphant, number 0 through 1. So there's a bit of a preview, and then there's the full comic book. And with us tonight, we have the creator, Mr. Pat Murphy. Pat, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. So is this your first comic book that you've worked on?
Yeah, it's pretty much my first one. Yeah, I learned a lot throughout this whole process, and it was pretty tricky. Not gonna lie.
It's learned by doing. It's the best way to pick things up. I mean, you know. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work, then you know what failed. If you don't fail, you don't learn nothing, I always say.
Exactly.
BAP2 is in the chat right here on time. Thank you, BAP, for popping in. We're taking a look at Echoes of the Triumphant. So it's a bold title. I feel like there should be like an army of people involved here. Who are or what is the Triumphant, and what's happening in this book that we're going to look at?
Yeah, sure. So, well, I guess the title is sort of a riff on where it takes place. It takes place in this fictional city called Echo City. I guess the best way to describe my story is that it's like a worst case scenario world if like superhumans existed. It's not like The Boys in the sense that there's like really egotistical superheroes, but there's superhumans are pretty much getting exploited by these big institutions and really like corrupt politicians and businessmen, and there's like corrupt press in there, and really there's like a lot of exploitation and rivalry, and there's just a lot of pissed off people in that city, and the story is just about this one dude named Adrian, and he's just trying to find his worth in that city, and that's more or less it. The gist of Echoes of the Triumphant.
It would be hard to be a superhero, even in the modern world that we live in now, because you think about it. Back in the 40s, apparently a domino mask and a fedora was enough that like, who is that guy?
Exactly.
Women didn't even recognize their own husbands and stuff like that. But now it's like you could wear a full face mask and put on a Spider-Man mask, and you're going to get scanned by facial recognition technology. They'll morphology your whole head in a graphic, and they're like, "That's the guy we're looking for," and you'll be found.
Big Brother's watching.
Big Brother's always watching, and they'll either put you in jail for being better at it than they are, or like you said, put you to work at a corporation or a government think tank or a defense arm. All kinds of things. If you had actual superpowers, if you're just a Batman character, they'll just either put you in a padded room or shoot you, because obviously you'd be crazy. So this is the Kickstarter. You're above goal, man. You had a very modest goal. You only had like 300 Canadian you were asking for, so that's like $244 American. How fast did you hit that goal? You're halfway through right now.
I think we hit that goal in about just a week, really, and so there's a little bit of traffic after that, and yeah, it's still going. Got 15 days to go.
Well, it had a modest goal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you're asking $5,000. Obviously, you're going to be kicking in some of your own money on this. I mean, there's no way you could really do a comic
Yeah.
for $300, but
Yeah, for sure.
you're getting it made, and I look at it sort of like the way I used to do eBay. I'd have like things I knew were worth like $30, $40, but I'd always start them at like 99 cents. You risk it, you're not going to make the $40, but at the same time, everybody's like, "Ooh, I'm watching that one now," and then they start. The blood starts boiling, and they get into the game. Next thing you know, it's $150, and nobody's batting an eye at it anymore. So that kind of happens with these crowdfund things. People get involved, invested in it, and they start seeing it grow. They start seeing it funded. Now they want to see how much they can get it funded. It's like it's like cheering for your football team. Only being able to actually maybe throw a pass to them off the field every once in a while. You're playing in the game as well as cheering it on. You do have a video here, so let's give that a click and we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, it's a little long.
It's a bit of a mini epic you got there.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it way shorter next time.
Yeah, that goes beyond the elevator pitch there, unless it's a really tall building. But that's okay, man. You had a lot to tell. So you are the you're the writer on this one?
Yep. So yeah, I teamed up with like a bunch of really awesome guys. Alexi Kott edited it. You can check him out on Wattpad. Greg Warnchak made the cover. He does a lot of like awesome, a lot of awesome like cover work for a lot of people in the Ottawa, Ontario region. Dominic Bercier helps me out a lot. He's running Mirror Comics. He's also located in Ottawa, Ontario. I highly recommend that like everybody checks out the work that he does. He's been at it for a very long time, so he's been like a huge help to me. And my main artist is Jared Bezena. Yeah, I really like the like sci-fi-ish and gritty and like spontaneous like sort of artwork he does, and I just think it's perfect what he does. And I have a link to his art station on my Kickstarter page, so I'd highly recommend that people check that out. And yeah, Michael McAdams, he runs Two Gargoyles Studios, I think. Two Gargoyles Comics, and he helped out with the lettering, and his lettering is really solid. And yeah, those were the gents.
All right. So and you guys have all come together and formed Reverb Comics, or is that something else that you're working under there?
Yeah, I mean, like these guys, they're all they're not all from Ottawa. My artist is like in Australia, so you know, I just I have them. I definitely have. This is my team for definitely like the first arc of the story that runs from number 1 to number 4.
And this is not just your first book, but this is going to be the first book under the Reverb Comics imprint?
Yep.
Where'd you how'd you come up with the name for your imprint house? Is there any meaning behind it, or?
Honestly,
I mean, there doesn't have to be. Sometimes it just sound cool, you know.
yeah, yeah. It was a bit of that. Like Dominic Bercier, he highly recommended that I make sort of like a comic name, and just for whatever reason, Reverb Comics just really spoke to me. Like, it's just it just said sci-fi to me. Like that's what I really like out of any other genre. I love sci-fi, so it just felt perfect for me.
All right. This is, of course, the cover for issue number 1, or is this issue number 0?
Number 1. Yeah.
Number 1. This is our hero, and he's on the run from I guess these would be not really the police, but I guess the people who go out and round up these tweaks, these genetic mutations.
Yep. So there's like in the story, the government hired like a private military contract, and the private military contract's called Expel, and so yeah, they're in charge for just like keeping tweaks in line, because you know, they're like superhumans, right? They're bigger and stronger than the average person, but Expel has the sort of technology to just deal with them and sort of keep them in line, and yeah, just put them down, I guess. Yeah.
Captain Cockney Spock is in the chat, says, this show is such an inspiration. I hereby announce my own forthcoming comic book series. Do it. Captain Cockney Spock, of course, has his own YouTube channel, broadcasting from across the pond. I hardly recommend people go seek that out and listen to it for some of that great British humor that we Americans think is so clever. It is, but you know, we feel cosmopolitan when we get British jokes. That's the thing. So let's see how many what the different tiers are on here, because this is advertised as 0 and 1, so I'm guessing that's a package deal. You're going to get
Yep.
You can get number one, the digital copy, and then the print copy is only $5. So didn't need to select it yet. I just wanted to. I get my Indiegogo and my Kickstarter mixed up. On Indiegogo, I gotta click it to expand it. On
Okay.
Kickstarter, you gotta click it to actually order it. So how many pages are we looking at here? I mean, $5 is a good deal for a crowdfunded comic.
Yeah, so it's 28 pages of story, and it's like 32 pages in total.
All right, so 32 pages. Of course, they get you back on the shipping because it's it's going to be a shipping of $15 US. Nothing you can really do about that. Well, you can talk to us sometime. We're doing it. We're doing the shipping for the international people, but
Okay.
I'm not sure how it would help. I'm not sure what the rates would be for Canada yet. I've not worked with one of them, but I'm sure it would be. I'm sure we can get it cheaper. So let's see here. It's only $3 for the digital number one, $5 for the print number one. Also for $5 with no shipping, of course. You can get the digital of 0 and 1, and for only $7. And I'm going to click it just to show that it's going to be. The shipping should be on there, but it's not this time. For $7, you get. Oh, that's the digital copy. I didn't go far enough. The print copy. There it is. The print copy, you get 0 and 1 for only $10 plus the $15 shipping. With $25, you're getting 2 books. And what is it for $12? A little bit more. You get for $2 more, you're getting your producer credits in the book, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
So it's a $2 tip to say, hey, put my name in the book.
Exactly.
So go for that. These are very modest goals here. You're not asking for the world. You're not, putting out a bunch of, hey, get a T-shirt, get a ball cap, get a coffee mug, get the action figures. It's the book.
Exactly.
And I think the only thing you've got here that's not the book is you can a tweak of your choice. If I'm understanding that's basically the have yourself drawn into the book kind of tier.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we have 2 backers on that so far. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Gives me some pretty cool ideas on how to incorporate them in the story.
Yeah,
So
you're going to have 48 of them. That's going to be a lot of superpowered people being put upon in the book here. So it's going to be a very crowded book, I would think.
Mhm.
A lot of people in it. So your protagonist is Adrian Avery. Does he have a superhero name, or does he's really strong and he just disguises himself?
So for him, he's just a regular dude. He's not. It's kind of a funny thing. So he used to be like he was about to become like a professional fighter, but then there was this incident and people got mutated and turned into tweaks, and then of course like all of society changed and his dreams sort of shattered, and he couldn't pursue his athletic career anymore, and he's just working a job right now that he's not totally in love with, and he sort of had like a traumatic upbringing, and so he's really the type of character that just sort of has like a chip on his shoulder. So like he hasn't really had like the best of luck, and his whole like story arc is just about like him just finding like his self-worth, and he sort of like romanticizes like what money can do for you. So at the beginning of like his arc, he thinks that like, becoming wealthy will just like give you ultimate happiness, when in fact like that's not really the case. So that's really his journey. Yeah.
So he's not the most altruistic hero doing it, because it's the right thing to do. He's trying to, better his own position.
Exactly. That's how the story starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Plus he likes
he
to punch
eventually
people.
grows. Yeah. Exactly.
inspired by the likes of X-Men, Daredevil, and American Psycho. That's a good mix. So I take it, two Marvel titles, that those were the comic books that, you cut your teeth on?
Yeah, I absolutely love Daredevil right now. I've loved him for like a very, very long time. I got hooked on the Brian Michael Bendis run when I was like 14 or 15, and I just thought that was like really brilliant what they did with him at that time.
See, I look at that and I'm like, that was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But my Daredevil collection starts off with him in a yellow and black suit, so I'm old. Yeah, Daredevil. I can see some of that in the design here and in the street level way of the character. Do you recall what was your introduction to comics in overall? I mean, do you recall your first comic books?
Well, it was, so I'd say around 11 or 12 years old, I just got really hooked onto the X-Men Evolution series, and then I eventually just started reading X-Men comics, and I think my first one was like some sort of like Wolverine Origins standalone book, and yeah, that's how I got hooked.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people, especially in your age bracket, talking about how the X-Men cartoon series made them seek out the comics. I talk with comic retailers a lot, and they often say that they don't get a big bump from the movies.
Okay.
But I think maybe the movies possibly aren't the way to really bump up comics, because it's a one shot. It's, hey, there's a movie out, I'm interested, and now I'm not. But these cartoons, they're seasonal and they're weekly, and there's something new each week to keep the interest peaked. Maybe they just need to go back to doing some sort of weekly cartoon series for these comic book characters. I mean, look how popular Batman is, and he hasn't had. He's always almost had a cartoon series going on since the animated series, the Bruce Timm era. Then you had the Batman, then you had the Brave and the Bold.
There's the Batman and which one was the other one? Yeah, I know the ones you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always been like there every week, or now it's like every afternoon, depending on what cable channel you watch or streaming service.
That's true.
They should get back to doing something like that. Now this is cool. This is some of the interior artwork, or is this the raws of the cover? I think it's a raw of this, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Always love looking at pencil work. You can really see the detail that went into it right before the colors the colors and inks cover up a lot of the work that goes into the picture, I think.
Yeah, it's that's all Jared Bazina's work. So he did a really amazing job on that.
Now, I know this is your first comic. The guys you're working with, you said that they've been working on some of them, at least, have been working on other projects before.
Yeah. So Dominic Bercier, he's done a lot of work. He made a bunch of graphic novels himself. A few titles that come to mind are Mission Arizona and The Bird Caller. Yeah, and I feel pretty comfortable working with Jared because this is one of the first times he's worked on a comic as well. So we're both just two young guys, just like figuring it out really, and yeah, it's nice. Yeah. All
right, so I was just looking at this last year. You're only $53, by the way, folks, to get yourself drawn into the comic. That's at least half of some of the cheapest ones I've seen for that kind of a tier. So this is one of the tweaks. I saw you sent me this picture as part of the graphics you sent, and it was like I saw zombie Groot, and I'm like, well, I'm sure Groot's not in the comic. That's just like some concept art they've drawn, but it is a character who's in the comic.
Yeah, so somebody just pointed that out on Instagram, like after like the yeah.
I could see it, it looks like his head.
Yeah, so like
caved out.
Like here. Jared just like drew that, and then somebody just like pointed that out on I think it was Instagram or something like that, and then I just said to myself like, yeah, I guess that does look like zombie Groot.
Yeah, it kind of does. And then you got the this is an interesting piece here. Now, what am I looking at? I'm looking at Andy Warhol punk werewolves, but there's not a four cut. There's like these two and then the same two with different colors. So what is it we're looking at here? This is Lionheart, but
Yeah.
is
So
it?
yeah, I was gonna say Lionheart's like the main antagonist of the first story arc. So yeah, in the story, institutions are oppressing these tweaks, and he's like the leader of this like rebel group of tweaks that are just plotting to you know uh, make their own sense of order. And so this picture came about in like the early stages of like the development of this project. So I wasn't really sure how I wanted to make him look. So I just asked Jared to just make a couple variations on his like hair color, and so we posted it on social media. And I think we went with like the black look to him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a black lion. Do you? I like that red hair on him. I mean, they all look good. I think I like the blonde one the least. The rest of them look, this one looks more like a natural lion, I guess. And then these two are just stark contrast, which is striking. Sticks out in the head. So Martin is looking for a way to better himself, and he's approached by somebody who says, "Hey, I want you to go in and steal some shit."
Basically.
And wearing the armor, he'd be able to take the hits from them. So is he wearing the armor throughout the book after he gets it? I mean, that's the purple armor that we see on the front cover there?
Yeah, that's the purple armor. So really like Martin's sort of like the messenger in all this. Like he ran away from home, and he came back to Adrian and said, this guy's Lionheart, he's like getting to be pretty extreme, and somebody needs to stop him. And he convinces Adrian to just sort of go into this like base, and actually the private military contracts expels base and just steals some prototype armor so that he can take like heavy blows from really powerful tweaks like Lionheart.
Yeah, that's an interesting punch style he's got going on there. He's not punching with the front of his hand. He's kind of clapping him on the side of the ear with the.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was trying to get him right in the temple and just try to knock him out in one shot.
Guy's on the floor, so we're going to say that was mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So how long have you been sitting on this idea? I mean, you don't just sit down and say, "I'm going to write a comic book," and put pen to paper, and 4 hours later, there it is. I wish it was that way, but usually it's something you've been gestating on and playing around with.
Yeah. So I'd say I was playing around with it like just right after I graduated from university. So around 2018, I landed like a full-time statistics job, and I was really happy about that. But I just decided that life was pretty short, and I thought that like now was like the best time to just try something out that I was really passionate about. And like 22 to like 27 or 33 is like the only window of opportunity like people have in their lives to like do a passion project, I guess, because like like later on in life, like people start families, and they have like more responsibilities and stuff like that. So like I figured like I'm just had to do it, otherwise I'd like regret it for the rest of my life. So I was just working on this like on and off for about like a year or so, and it sounds at first I thought it'd be pretty easy, but it's pretty hard like writing a book, because like you have to, lay some seeds and just like sort of pay that off down the road. And you just have to be consistent with like the narrative. Like you have to make sure that there's like a good progression with like character development and the plot. Like like if something's like too thick in the plot, like it's usually not that entertaining, and you have to make sure that like the tone's really consistent. And so and you can't ignore continuity, obviously. So yeah, it's like it was pretty challenging, to be honest, but like I'm glad it turned out pretty well.
Do you do a summary of the plot, page by page summary, so that you can hit that 28 or 32 pages and get where you're wanting to go, and have a guide for the dialogue after that point? Or what's your approach to writing the story?
Yeah, so I find that Dan Harmon's story circle is really, really helpful. So that's usually how like I nail the direction of the story. So I forget all the steps of Dan Harmon's story circle, but it's more or less along the lines of you have a character, he's in his own comfort, and then he wants something, he goes out and gets it, but then he gets his ass kicked, and then he adapts somehow, and then he eventually gets what he wants. But then after he gets what he wants, he sort of like reassesses his needs and reflects, and then that's when you have like a change in the character internally, and that's usually how I plot the story.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Hemingway approach. We were taught back in the day, where the whole formula was, you take a guy who has nothing, and then you give him something that he needs, so shelter basically, and then you take it away and you watch what he does to get it back. See how he responds.
Yeah.
Some people are like that. They just like Neil Gaiman said, hey, let's throw some characters on the stage and see what they do. And sometimes you gotta, like me, I've got to say, no, I want them to do this specific thing. Very, very seldom do they take off on their own. So these are the rewards that we had just looked over. We'll hit them once again real quickly here, because we've got them in graphic format now and go a little faster. I got to keep remembering to do that. I'm glad if a person doesn't do this in their campaign, then I have to go to the right side of the screen, and that's ugly. This is a much nicer way to do it. I wish they'd let you put buttons here to pledge at this point instead of off to the side.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
So you get your digital copy of issue 1, watch it on any device you want, $3 or more, and you get it instant. Now, instant access. This book is done.
Yep, it's all done.
You're not even gonna have to wait, people. It's done. It's gonna, it'll be over in 15 days, and then be mailed out. For $5, you get 0 and 1, both digital, instant access. Now, define instant access for me. I mean, is this a PDF that gets mailed, or is this like a window to a server somewhere where you get to read it on the server?
Oh, I just basically I'd email it to the backer like right after they backed it.
Okay, so they get a PDF file. Yeah, because there's some lately that have been, I don't know if it's like they're NFTs or something, but what they what the backers have been getting of the digital copy is a password to a site, and you can read it on the site, and that hasn't gone over so well. I can see why. I would not like that either, because you close the site, you lose your book that you ostensibly paid for a copy of. Now, what is different here? Digital copy 0 and 1, digital copy 0 and 1, plus the backer credits. Okay, so you can get the digital copy and still have your name in the printed book for just $2 more. Now, are these going to be 2 floppies when they're printed?
Yep, I already have them printed right now.
Okay, because I'm looking at backer credits for the trade paperback and hardcover. Are you looking like farther down the line here or something, or?
Yeah, so the backer credits are for when like the the trade is going to be ready. So the trade's going to be from number 1 to number 4. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if this one's done already, and you say you've got them printed up there already, ready to go out. How far into the story are you creation wise with issues? Are you like writing number 2 now, or are they all done and you're just waiting to parcel them out?
So I have the first arc done. So I have like number 1 from number 4 written. Like number 1's like 28 pages, and the rest of the issues are each 24 pages. And right now in issue number 2, we have 17 pages complete. So I'd say in maybe 2 months or so that should be finished.
Yeah, moving right
And
along.
yeah, so I'm not sure when the whole trade would be ready. It would probably be ready in maybe another year or so, because I don't really want to rush my artist, to be honest. So um, yeah, that's more or less how far I am with everything.
Okay, so by the time you're fulfilling this one, you'll be just about ready to start the next one up.
Yep.
Once people are receiving them, rather,
Mhm.
they'll be like, "I'm ready for my next one," and there will be the Kickstarter. Are you going to go to Indiegogo after this? Or are you just going to stay purely Kickstarter? I know some people like to pick one or the other, and some of them use both.
I'm not really familiar with Indiegogo, to be honest. I'd have to look into it a lot more and try to figure it out a bit and see if it would work. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into it.
It's the basic nut of what's different about it is that, first of all, Indiegogo takes your money right away. As soon as you pledge, they take it. So it's none of this waiting until everything's done. And secondly, you can do 30 days. And then when you're done, you can extend it another 30 days, which is something you can't do on Kickstarter. And then also when it is finished and funded, you can go in demand, which is sort of like keeping your campaign open as an online store until you're finally ready to fulfill. So if you're like, well, I spent my whole 60 days getting money. It's still going to be another 2 months before the book is ready. I can still take orders for more books.
Okay.
So it's got its advantages, and Kickstarter has advantages on its side as well. I've always preferred Indiegogo for myself, but that's as a buyer. I've not been somebody who's actually doing campaigns on my own on the outside. You can get the print copy of number 1 for $5, or get the print copy of number 0 through 1. Which, why would you not get number 0? You want to get the setup for the story, right, guys? So pledge 10 or more and get Echoes of the Triumphant 0 and 1 shipped to you. And for $12, you can get them shipped to you, and then your name will appear later in the trade paperback and hardcover of the collected versions. Finally, $50 will get you drawn in as a tweak, as a superpowered character. Now, this doesn't actually look like a person, so is this really like, send us your photo and we'll draw you in, or is it, send us your character and we'll draw it in, or both?
Yeah, so I'd probably say both, because yeah, I just obviously I wanted to be really fun for everybody, but so far a backer requested for me to put him in as like a bullfrog tweak, and another one requested me to put him in as this like orange gargoyle looking dude. So it's pretty cool, the concepts.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to have their own little take on it. You got some stretch goals here. Number 1 is the behind the scenes info and sketches. So $3,000 Canadian. So it's only like it's only like $20 more, folks, American.
Exactly.
And everyone gets the behind the scenes information, the series script, all the good fun Easter egg stuff. Stretch goal number 2 will be a cover variant / poster. So you get to 5,000, then and everyone gets a digital. So you get to 5,000. Everyone's going to get a digital, even if you bought the physical, and you're going to get an 8.5 by 11 print cover variant. Now, is this a variant cover of the book, or is this a print of a variant cover? like an 8.5 by 11 picture?
It's a picture.
Okay,
Yes. I don't think we're getting to that stretch goal though.
that's cool. Stretch goal number 3, $7,000. Everyone gets a T-shirt. So that's a high goal, but you've got plenty of time, and it's a T-shirt. It's free. It's a free T-shirt. So you could have spent like $10 on issue 1, and suddenly you're getting a T-shirt in the mail. You can't buy a T-shirt alone for $10. Honestly, almost kind of surprised that wasn't an add-on at the back where you'd like just buy the T-shirt and get a Reverb Comics T-shirt as an add-on. And look at that, there are add-ons. So you can get just issue 0 through the add-on process here. Just basically you email Pat and you're in. And who are we looking at here? So this is you after visiting the barber at one point, I'm guessing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
This was me. That was me before COVID.
Yeah. So these are your COVID locks we're looking at here.
Exactly.
Grown in.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I could. This is my COVID locks grown in. Really got to get it trimmed down. And then the usual risks and challenges. We know what all that is. If you're watching this, you are no stranger to Kickstarter and Indiegogo and the whole process. $303, folks. Goal is met. So if you put money into this now, you're guaranteed to get your book. Just not a whole bunch more we can say about that. What other ideas are you thinking of? Anything else for Reverb Comics, or is it's all going to be EOTT right now until you get that story done? Are you looking at going broad?
Yeah, I'd say it's just Echoes of the Triumphant right now because I don't know, like I took some advice from Dominic Berset, like you don't want to do like a bunch of different projects, and you don't want like the quality, like usually when you take on a lot of projects at once, like the qualities of those projects like aren't that great. Whereas if you take on one, just pay attention to that one thing and then make it as best as it can be. So yeah, I'm gonna see what happens with Echoes of the Triumphant when it gets to issue number 4, and I'll just go from there, really.
All right. I was just assuming that was in the back of your mind somewhere, since you had an imprint for the book. Yeah. Usually if you're just like Echoes of the Triumphant is my book, I've always wanted to make my book. There, I've done it. It's out. It's done. You don't bother making an imprint for that unless you're planning on making more books of some kind.
Yeah, but that's like that'd be like way later on, like not right now.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will watch for that. Is there anything else about this book that you want people to know about other than buy it, get out there and throw a couple of bucks at this book and add to your collection?
It's just a book about like a dude who's just like trying to find his worth, really. I think I've seen a lot of teenagers, just like young people, struggle a lot these days. Like COVID hit like a lot of people in really bad ways. Like I think in Ontario, like 22% of all like young people were unemployed, and so it's tough on there for like young guys and girls. Like like even today, like if you go enroll in a university, you could come out with like student loans and a debt trap. So yeah, this in a way, this book it's for young people who have that sort of chip on their shoulder.
All right. Well, that being all there is to say, it's looking like a cool story. It's got a very raw quality to it, and the art that you see in a lot of the indie books reminds me of a lot of the stuff that was coming out in the 80s when everybody saw what happened with the Turtles, and they sort of all rushed into it, and you had this sudden influx of new talent and new art coming in, and it wasn't, didn't have the polish of a house style or an assistant editor who would go to the editor who would go to the publisher. This is my art, slap it on the page, buy this, and people did. I like to see that coming back again. So with that said, Pat?
Oh, I just heard that isn't an artist from the TMNT franchise, isn't he getting his own like Netflix called Samurai Rabbit, I think it is.
I think I've heard of Samurai Rabbit because I know the first thing I thought of when I heard about it was, it's Usagi Yojimbo, which was a samurai rabbit that I can't remember the artist's name now. Stan Sakai.
That's it. I think. I think there's a Netflix series coming out of that. Pretty soon.
Yeah, he wasn't a TMNT artist, but they did cross over frequently.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
As indie characters would do back then. I mean, it was they weren't even the same company, but it's like, you want to use my character? Sure, take my character. I'll use yours sometime. Thank you, Captain Cockney Spock. It was Stan Sakai. He's a fun guy. I walked into him once at a convention. He doesn't remember it, but he's interesting. All right, so Pat, want to thank you for coming on the show and bringing Echoes of the Triumphant here. Hopefully the chat will respond to this and get you, closer to something where you can actually make a little bit of money on this and not go into the whole publishing it. And speaking of the chat, we definitely appreciate you guys being here. We don't have a show without you. We are, 40 hours away. 40 hours. 1%. The last 1% of our 4,000 required watch hours before YouTube says we are somebody. And that's all because of you guys. They don't count when I watch it as we're making it. So I don't get to do anything about that. That's all on you guys for helping make us a success. And we definitely appreciate it. And as always, every night, we just hope you came here